Ready for the video?
Yes.
Let's do it.
So using rubber mats for yoga, I know there are ISHA branded rubber mats. I look at it with great pain. You have only 10% is yours, 90% is microbes. They're constantly in and out.
I've actually switched quite a lot of mats. I've used a cork mat, I've used a Durbag grass mat, I've used jute, I've used cotton. My most preferred is… that's the easier place to find the correlation between your body and the fabric. And I felt like for me the switch happened there first.
Conscious practice. What's conscious? This is Vish and…
My name is Abhaya.
And today we'll be responding to Sadhguru's video on…
What is the best yoga mat to use?
My name is Vish. I'm an aspiring yogi. Love all things wisdom, yoga, and meditation based. Super grateful to have Abhaya here today. Want to introduce yourself?
I'm an ISHA Hatha yoga teacher trained with the ISHA Foundation. I've been teaching since 2016 and I run a foundation called Yoga Netri where we teach classical Hatha yoga in Austin and online.
Yeah, this is actually a very amazing opportunity that I have to get to have someone like this on the show because of how relevant someone like this is for obviously Sadhguru. And so I'm very excited to see this video with Abhaya. And before we start the video, what is your quick take on the best yoga mats? Do you have any thoughts here?
I've spent a whole lot of money trying to figure out the answer to this question.
Okay.
But we're going to watch the video and find out what actually best means.
Yes, that's a great point, and I've also wondered this too. Would love to hear what your favorite yoga mat is. What do you think the best one is to use for the practice? Let us know in the comments down below. And with that,
let's get started.
Above all, when you're doing yoga, your first relationship of being one is with the earth. To be in touch with the earth is important. A proper yogi means, for Hatha yoga, if you can afford to do this, you must make a room with packed mud, with packed clay. On top of it, you put either a raw silk cloth or a cotton cloth, a raw cotton cloth, not sanforized. And you do yoga on that for maximum impact because this body, you might have forgotten, but the body knows that it's just a piece of the planet. Always it knows. When you practice yoga, you want that to become a conscious and a living process for you, so that you experience yourself as one with the earth on which you're living. And I would say 80% of your health depends on this, how much you're in tune with the earth. 80%. 80% of your chronic ailments can just vanish simply because you kind of found a little rapport with the earth on which you're walking or sitting right now. So using rubber mats for yoga, I know there are ISHA branded rubber mats. I look at it with great pain. But this is Sadhguru, cotton mats get dirty, who's going to wash them? In America they don't know how to wash them, so we made the rubber mats. But this is Sadhguru, this is some special material which really insulates you. This is what I'm asking you when I asked you the first question. Are you here to experience life or dodge life? Unknowingly you're doing it in so many ways as to how to insulate yourself from life. If you might already know this, it's all over the place these days. 90% of your body is bacteria. You know this? That means you're only 10% occupant of this building. This construction you have, only 10% is yours. 90% is microbes. They're constantly in and out. They're not just here. If you isolate this, that itself is sickness. That itself is sickness. If you insulate this from the rest of the world, you will become… the potential of who you are is being lowered continuously. So, if you're a homebound person, that means every day you wake up in the same place, now largely, if it is so, it's best you use a cotton mat for your yoga or a raw silk mat, not a plastic thing. That is for people who roll it up and go and do it in Central Park because they want everybody to see they're doing yoga. Today is my yoga day. Yesterday I came with my bicycle to Central Park, today I've come with my yoga mat. So that's a different kind of life. But if you're doing proper yoga, hatha yoga, you must be connected with earth, organic material, so that there's no break.
So Abhaya, being a hatha yoga teacher yourself, what's your take now with what Sadhguru just shared with us?
So when I started, I definitely was using a rubber mat, and actually for a long time I thought it gave better grip. And it wasn't for a long time that this changed, but it changed actually when I was traveling. And while I was traveling, I was doing my practices in different kinds of places, like inside of the water temple in Trichy, or consecrated spaces, Sadhguru, Sri Brahma's Samadhi, and other places which may or may not have the necessary kind of set up for yoga. Sometimes I had a mat, sometimes I didn't. And the times that I didn't, I realized that the connection that I had with the earth, or where I was doing my practice, was so much more profound. Actually, I found that even when I was traveling up to the mountains in the Himalayas, and each city in fact has, or each space has its own energetic field or energetic way that it is, and doing your practices in sync with that changes even the way the practice happens. So when I'm traveling, or if I'm around a place which has a lot of greenery or nature, I find that I'm much more rooted in my practice than, let's say, doing it in a concrete building in the 17th floor with AC in your studio. So those kind of things actually do make a big difference. So wherever possible, wherever I can, I try and connect with the natural environment that I'm practicing in, and I feel like it makes a huge difference in the way the practice happens.
Thank you for sharing that, Abhaya, and I think those are some great points coming from, again, a hatha yoga teacher. I want to emphasize that quite a bit here because that is a special thing to have here on the show. And yeah, I will say, actually, that's a good point, or interesting point you made with the rubber mat. It's actually something I still use, mainly for the grip purpose. So I guess that's something maybe that'll change. So what do you use right now? I'm curious.
So I've actually switched quite a lot of mats. I've used a cork mat, I've used a Durbag grass mat, I've used jute, I've used cotton and I've used a cotton with a rubber lining. And so I've moved around quite a bit. But actually, to be honest, my most preferred is yoga without a mat, because even when it's cotton or silk, I find that especially practices like Angamardana or Surya Shakti, for me, I just need it to be solid, So I find that it's much easier to do it on solid ground. But if that doesn't work, then I guess for me, I would prefer the cork mat. I felt like that was a good one. For me, it was a little heavy to carry around, so I just switched to using wherever I am,
Okay, so it seems like definitely natural ground is best. Now let me ask you this. I'm curious, how significant, because I think this is the key point that I'm realizing here. It is this very significant thing when you're doing this practice of yoga. It comes down to even just the mat that you're using, right? We tend to, I think, overlook that and not really care. And what looks good, as he says, what's fashionable. But even with those specific things, I think it's very important to be extra conscious and aware of what you're putting underneath you. But I will say at the same time, personal opinion here, I think at the end it really comes down to at least you doing the practices, right? I think that's more important versus the mat itself. But still, it seems like it has some amount of significance. So from your experience here, what would you describe that as? How significant is this mat? If you could give a percentage or maybe just any brief view on that question.
Maybe I wouldn't be able to quantify it in a number, but I would say that the best way to know how your body is changing or reacting to it is actually trying it out with clothes first. Sometimes we don't really notice the mat because it seems a bit distant, but if you switch from wearing super tight yoga pants, the ones that you see all around, Lululemon kind of pants. So in case you have been wearing those kind to do yoga, because they are sold as yoga pants, and you switch to something which is completely organic, whether it's a cotton t-shirt or a cotton pair of shorts or even, any kind of pants, that's an easier place to find the correlation between your body and the fabric. And I felt like for me, the switch happened there first. When I stopped wearing, let's say, the synthetic running t-shirts that are sweat absorbent, for example, that you get in terms of athletic wear right now. If you switch from that to organic wear, automatically you feel like the way that the practice is happening changes. But then I would say extend it further and say now switching it from clothing to mat, you become even more sensitive. So as your practice evolves, your sensitivity also enhances, both with what you're wearing, with where you're using it, and it also then further extends itself to what you're eating, how you're speaking, how you're sitting, how you're breathing. All of these things, I know the question may be, but which mat to use? But actually, the question is a larger question of how conscious and aware are you of you and your surroundings. If you're living really on the surface, then, well, which mat doesn't matter, which clothing doesn't matter, which fruit doesn't matter, how you sleep, how you wake up doesn't matter. There's a certain flow of, if you're running in the rat race, there is only one goal in mind, which is how am I getting there? Now, if you are in the race, it doesn't really matter. But if you have time to slow down and to just look at where you're at, observe, what is happening within the system, what is happening around you, these things actually come into awareness much more easily.
That was, I think, very well said. I couldn't have said it better. Definitely great insight and great advice, specifically with this topic itself. And I think that was also helpful for me in terms of what mat should I be using, and also how critical it comes down to, how critical it is to really focus on the things that really matter, right? And that is your level of consciousness. And I also loved how you mentioned the clothing. I didn't even think about that. I think that also has a profound effect to a certain extent, right? Depending on how conscious you are. So I want to thank you so much, Abaya, for being here. Thank you so much for taking this time. It's really just a great opportunity to have someone from ISHA directly to be here on the show. Do you want to share where they can find you and more information about yourself?
So I teach classical Hatha yoga under Yoga Netri. Yoga Netri can be found on our website, www.yoganetri.com. We run physical workshops in Austin, in Texas, but also online programs. Online programs are great for new people who are looking to start yoga, and this is the first session to begin, and they don't know where to begin. You could start there. Apart from this, we also do food-related workshops and other, meditations that happen daily at the studio. You're welcome to join us. If at all you want to just connect with us, you can follow our Instagram page. We usually put out recipes and, lifestyle-related tips, things like which yoga mat to use or what kind of clothing to wear or things that can help you with your daily practice. So you can definitely check that out on Instagram, and it'll go by the handle Yoga Netri. You can have a look.
Yes, all of that stuff will be down below. And I want to thank you all for so much. I want to thank you for watching and taking this time. And if you have any other questions, comments, or concerns about what we've discussed, feel free to comment that down below. And if you have any other video reaction requests or topics or even guests that you want to see on the show, you can also comment down below. And with that, make a great day. Take this joyfully and stay conscious. Awesome job. You did great.
Thank you.
Awesome.